This video is part of a series of videos on the pursuit of fulfillment in life. In particular, the series looks at the ancient book of Ecclesiastes for answers on how humans can truly live a fulfilled life here on earth. This book was written by a king named Solomon, who had the reputation of being wiser than any other man on earth due to special wisdom being given to him by God. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon tries different means of obtaining fulfillment to try and determine which of the methods works. While the book of Ecclesiastes can be a difficult one to read because of the futile pursuit of fulfillment of those who seek it incorrectly, the lessons we learn from Solomon as he examines these meaningless paths that people are on are extremely valuable and inspired by God. For some, listening to Solomon's advice and warnings will save them from a lifetime of wasting their time chasing after things that will never satisfy them. This video will focus on a life pursuing the building of grand structures and many accomplishments as a means to find fulfillment in life. We're going to refer to this as empire building. Now, in Ecclesiastes 2, verses 4 to 7, Solomon says the following: I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more fields and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. Now, the first thing we want to look at is, what do we learn about the nature of someone whose pursuit of fulfillment is to seek to build a lasting empire on earth, someone who wants to build grand structures for fulfillment? Well, first of all, they tend to build more things than they could possibly enjoy by themselves, or even with many others. This is found in Ecclesiastes 2, verses 4 and 7. Secondly, they tend to do things that are of benefit to their own life. Verses 4 of Ecclesiastes 2, as Solomon said, he built these things for himself. Empire building really is about the person doing the building. Thirdly, empire builders tend to desire the best of everything for themselves. Ecclesiastes 2:5 talks about the difficult kinds of things that Solomon built that would have been luxury items for people of his day. Fourthly, empire builders tend to be very independent and don't like to rely on others. This is found in Ecclesiastes 2, verse 6. Fifthly, they find it easy to get the help of others to build their kingdom through different methods. Those people are never going to have the same power of the empire builder that they serve, however. And the very last thing about an empire builder is that they always feel a need to be greater than anyone else, those around them. This is found in Ecclesiastes 2, verse 7. Now, the next thing we want to look at is what happens to things and kingdoms that are built by man's strength and ability. Solomon addresses this question in Ecclesiastes 4, verse 13 to 16, where he says, Better a poor but wise youth than an old but foolish king who no longer knows how to take warning. The youth may have come from prison to the kingship, or he may have been born in poverty within his kingdom. I saw that all who lived and walked under the sun followed the youth, the king's successor. There was no end to all the people who were before them. But those who came later were not pleased with the successor. This too is meaningless and a chasing after the wind. The first thing that happens to an empire builder and to a kingdom built in this manner is that they will tumble and fall without much warning, because the one who builds them will not have the energy and ability to maintain them. Verse 13 of chapter 4 tells us this. Also, when another person comes along with new ideas and a better empire, the empires built by man will fade away. Verses 14 to 15 of chapter 4. Now next, every empire and thing built by man will lose its attraction as the generations of people change and their desires and interests evolve. Only God knows what every generation of people needs and wants. This is found verse 16, chapter 4. Yikes! All the things I struggle to build and empires I try to set up are going to be surpassed. So, how can I avoid being a temporary empire builder and instead build something that will last for eternity? Ecclesiastes 5, verses 1 to 20. Guard your steps when you go to the house of God. Go near to listen rather than to offer the sacrifice of fools, who do not know that they do wrong. Do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. God is in heaven and you are on earth, so let your words be few. As a dream comes when there are many cares, so the speech of a fool when there are many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay in fulfilling it. He has no pleasure in fools. Fulfill your vow. It is better now to not vow than to make a vow and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin, and do not protest to the temple messenger, "My vow was a mistake." Why should God be angry at what you say and destroy the work of your hands? Much dreaming and many words are meaningless. Therefore, stand in awe of God. If you see the poor oppressed in a district, and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both others still. The increase from the land is taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves money never has money enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with his income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owner except to feast his eyes upon them? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether he eats little or much, but the abundance of a rich man permits him no sleep. I have seen a grievous evil under the sun, wealth hoarded to the harm of its owner, or wealth lost through some misfortune, so that when he has a son there is nothing left for him. Naked a man comes from his mother's womb, and as he comes, so he departs. He takes nothing from his labor that he can carry in his hand. This too is a grievous evil. As a man comes, so he departs. And what does he gain, since he toils for the wind? All his days he eats in darkness, with great frustration, affliction, and anger. Then I realize that it is good and proper for a man to eat and drink and to find satisfaction in his toilsome labor under the sun, during the few days of life that God has given to him, for this is his lot. Moreover, when God gives any man wealth and possession and enables him to enjoy them, to accept his lot and be happy in his work, this too is a gift from God. He seldom reflects on the days of his life because God keeps him occupied with gladness of heart. Now, first of all, we are told to respect and revere the kingdom of God, referring to the house of God in verse 1 of chapter 5. Secondly, we are told to listen carefully to what God has to say and to make God our king, also in verse 1 of chapter 5. Thirdly, we are told to do all that God is calling us to do instead of telling him what he should be doing for us. This is in chapter 5 as well, verses 2 to 6. Fourthly, we should love God and submit ourselves to what he wants, verse 7 of chapter 5. Fifthly, we need to recognize that we live in a world built by empire builders, and that as a result, all that you see around you will not last and is not worth pursuing, verses 8 to 11 of chapter 5. Look instead to enjoy the simple things of eating and drinking and working at something that you enjoy doing, and having what you need to enjoy life on the planet. Chapter 5, verses 18 and 19. Be content with the life that God has provided you with, and live that life walking with him. Chapter 5, verses 18 to 20. It is critical for us to become people who are eternal kingdom builders, because the life of an empire builder does not end well or in fulfillment. So how does the life of an empire builder end? Ecclesiastes 6, verses 1 to 6 say, "I have seen another evil under the sun, and it weighs heavily on men. God gives a man wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing his heart desires. But God does not enable him to enjoy them, and a stranger enjoys them instead. This is meaningless, a grievous evil. A man may have 100 children and live many years, yet no matter how long he lives, if he cannot enjoy his prosperity and does not receive proper burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he is. It comes without meaning. It departs in darkness, and in darkness its name is shrouded. Though it never saw the sun or knew anything, it has more rest than does that man. Even if he lives 1,000 years twice over, but fails to enjoy his prosperity, do not all go to the same place?" The first thing we learn here is that an empire builder will find it impossible to enjoy the empire that he has built. Verse 2 of chapter 6. Secondly, an empire builder will have difficult relationships with his most important empire, his family, who barely understand who he was at his death. Verse 3 of chapter 6. Thirdly, an empire builder's life ends in futility and turmoil. Verses 4 to 6 of chapter 6. There is so much fulfillment to be gained in life, but to those who pursue it trying to build earthly kingdoms, fulfillment is fleeting and empty. Those who seek to build God's eternal kingdom, however, will find joy and contentment here on earth, and an amazing reward in the life that God has prepared for us in eternity. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is the first video of the series on fulfillment you have watched, you may find it useful to view the first of the series, where we summarize the book of Ecclesiastes. Thank you for watching.